Well, there you go. We're back. It only seems like yesterday we were doing the morning kick and we've had a little bit of a hiatus, and really excited that we're going to be able to come back with the new and reimagined the kick. What happened to the morning? Well, during the pandemic, it felt like all the time we were getting up early and staying up late and getting so much done. But we wanted to give ourselves more flexibility in 2022. So we've dropped the morning. That means that this could be happening any time of the day, but do expect that the kick is going to be coming to you. It's on Facebook, it's on LinkedIn, it's in our YouTube channel. We've even got the new logo going underway, so we'll be able to talk to guests, talk to our staff, and find out what's been happening at Excite Media. What is our goals? Well, we want to help grow businesses, and we have so many clients right across Australia, and of course right at home in Brisbane and Queensland, and we want to bring ideas that are going to help a business flourish. Now, we're going to be talking very shortly to the founders of Excite Media, Nathanael, Hubbard and Scott Maynard, as well as our general manager, Chris Taylor, and getting some insights as to how do you survive a pandemic. But we also want to bring you some introductions to some of the staff. Over the pandemic, we've actually been growing, some great new talent coming on board. And we're also going to have a look at what happened in 2021, show you some of the amazing websites. But let's bring in the crew and have a bit of a chat about exactly what has been happening over the last year. Chris Taylor, our general manager, and founders Scott Maynard and Nathanael Hubbard. Guys, welcome to The Kick, the new Imagine show.
Thanks for having us.
Quiet,
First in line.
It's like monkeys, you've got to feed them peanuts to get them to talk. Yeah, actually, I don't like the Brady Bunch idea. Guys, we're going to be talking about what's been happening. And in 2021, we actually thought we'd got back to the office, but here we are working remotely again. So we've caught you all over the place. How have you found the last 2 years? Chris, let's start with you because you've really been on the front line dealing with our staff. What's it been like leading a team through a pandemic? And in those early days, we didn't know what was going to happen next.
Yeah, it's been a challenge. I think the hardest part has been we don't know what's happening next. Like you said, we were expecting to go back into the office this year and business as normal and hopeful that we would get some normality back into proceedings, but that hasn't been the case. So keeping up to date with government guidelines with what we should be doing and all that kind of stuff has been a challenge. A big part of our culture is care. So care for our staff and care for our clients has been at the forefront of that. So at the moment, we're appreciative that we have 25 staff, all from different walks of life, all with different challenges through this pandemic. So that's been the biggest thing, is making sure they all feel supported at all times through the entire process. But looks like next week we might be back in the office unless something changes. So fingers crossed.
Watch the space. The founders of Excite Media are Nathanael Hubbard and Scott Maynard. Guys, last year we actually celebrated Excite Media's 15th birthday. Nathanael, when you look back at the last 15 years, is this what you expected? Is it anywhere near the dream that you imagined?
It's a good question. I feel like it maybe is starting to get there after 15 years. It's been a long time coming, but as they say, it's the journey and not the destination, isn't it? So, sometimes we share photos on our Slack channel where we communicate. And we look back at where we started those 15 years ago. And while the hair's changed and the clothes have changed, I think the fabric of our relationships have gotten stronger over that time. So there's been some hilarious moments, some sad moments, but overall some amazing moments, and looking forward to the next 15 years.
Now, speaking of hairdos, we've got to go across to Scott and say, has much actually changed in terms of hair? But Scott, at the beginning of the pandemic, I know that we all had the rabbits in the headlights look. We actually wondered if there was going to be enough work, given all the shutdowns that was happening, that would keep Excite Media going. And I guess a lot of businesses really were panicking at the start. We went from a situation where we thought, will there be enough work, to a situation there was potentially too much work. Can you think what it was like as the owner of the business, kind of wondering which way it was going to go?
Yeah, I do remember that. And I guess there are always the two extremes that you fear in business, is far too little work or far too much work. Obviously, the too much work is a better problem to have. And I guess that's where you really got to think of your team then. When it's too much work, that's when you've got to look at how your team are coping, things like that. I think it was maybe 2 or 3 months, maybe 4 months, where the peak of that uncertainty was happening. But it was good to see the government come through with a lot of grant programs for small business to get back online, things like that. And we're really happy to be able to help a lot of businesses use that money wisely, get their marketing kicking again. So yeah, it was. I look back on it. It gives good perspective for going forward when you look back at what we were able to go through with that sort of turmoil. And touch wood, we don't go through something like that again in the near future. But it kind of gives you confidence knowing that we were able to navigate that. The other day-to-day things that business throws at you, you kind of have the confidence then to go, no, we can get through this as well. So it gives you a bit of perspective, I think.
The grants that were coming through during the pandemic in both 2020 and 2021 were really good in terms of businesses being able to afford to steer their business in the right direction, improve their marketing pivot. Certainly put a lot of work on our side. And I know that both yourself and Nathanael really helped dig in so our staff could work on the regular stuff. Nathanael, how did it feel kind of getting your hands dirty again and basically having to start from the ground up, getting people's websites underway to fulfill these grant obligations?
Yeah, no, I actually really enjoy that side of Excite Media and working with clients. And it's the time when you learn the most about what your product should be and what direction it should be heading. And I found that the grants actually spurred people on, and it gave a deadline both to submit the grant, but also to actually achieve the project, which I think is a really good thing because it spurs people into action. And, there's with any projects like building a website or anything like that, there's always a better time to do it. You're too busy now, but there was actually some urgency there that was forced upon people. I think it was a really good thing. And who doesn't love some free money from the government? So I think that was a bit of a win for everyone. Wasn't free for us.
It made a difference for all of us, I think, and that was the great thing. Chris, you had to help us actually steer our processes in the right direction, and over the last 2 years, it'd be fair to say that we had kind of reinvent ourselves a few times. Could you describe what it was like actually doing processes on the run? Was it a good idea? Did it work?
It was a challenge. Just touching on the grant stuff as well, I found that it really galvanized our team a little bit. We had a lot of work come through very quickly. And that's where the care for each other was at the forefront. Everyone was digging in to do stuff for each other. And that started with Scott and Nathanael. They took on a lot of the work themselves. And we found ways to get so much work done in a small amount of time, and so pleased to have so many happy clients on the back end of it. So that was really pleasing. In terms of business processes, we were quite lucky. Just before the pandemic started, we were looking at invigorating the way that we build websites and working with some new technology and trying to find ways to speed up the process without losing quality. And I actually am a true believer that we wouldn't have got through the pandemic and the grant waves if we hadn't have started at the time that we did, because it forced us to fast track our learnings around that product and the different ways we were doing things, but also allowed our team to be able to handle more work because we were streamlining things and just finding ways to work smarter, not harder. So doing that on the fly was certainly a challenge and certainly stressful, but it was really rewarding to see the team survive as a result of it.
I'm going to say, Chris, one of your strengths in leading our team has been checking in on the welfare of our team. And 20-odd people, that's not an easy task. I remember that in the early days, you'd give me a phone call, see how I'm going. How did we manage to take care of the whole person, not just the staff member, but their families?
To start with, it was hard because, like I said, there's 25 people and everyone's got different challenges through this. Some people are at home with kids and doing homeschooling. My challenge, the reason I'm sitting outside today is I've got 2 kids inside that won't leave me alone, and a neighbour who's just started a leaf blower, so that's worked out really well. It was getting to know how this was impacting everybody, not just people with kids. There was people with health concerns. There were people who are in an apartment and in lockdown with nobody else with them. So it affected everyone differently. And for us, it was just about learning how everybody was handling it, what everyone was going through, and doing what we could to support them in different ways and trying to find new ways to do that. I don't know if you want me to mention this, Andrew, but a family member of yours is dealing with COVID at the moment, and it spoiled a birthday celebration. So we sent you guys an Uber Eats voucher, and it's a small thing, but anything, we feel like anything we can do to make this easier for everybody, then even those small things help. So, but yeah, at the core of it is just getting to know your people and knowing the best way to support them and everyone around them.
And apparently noodle box is on the agenda for that Uber Eats voucher. So thank you very much. Listen, I was reminded this morning of one of the benefits that we have as far as doing what was the morning kick. So we used to do it on Tuesday and Thursday morning. Guess who had his rubbish collection early on Thursday morning? And I'd be in the middle of an interview like this and hear this massive roar of a truck coming and dumping or picking up rubbish. So I know what you're saying about the leaf blower. But you mentioned working with kids. Let's go across to Scott. Leading a family, leading a business, having 3 young guys that you're trying to keep engaged during a pandemic. What's it been like running a family life and running a business at the same time?
Lucas just came in just before I was trying to coax him onto the camera, but he took a look at the screen and got shy. But there's definitely stressful moments, particularly I think when the first round of homeschooling happened. But I think it's been good spending a bit more time together. It's definitely got to be a bit more creative with when you spend your time. Like for me, it's been a bit more work at night time because I kind of feel a bit bad. The kids just on the technology the whole day, that sort of thing. So I'll try to take breaks and do something with them, and then put some of my work in the evening when they're asleep. So just trying to be creative with things like that. It definitely has its moments where you get it under each other's skin, but overall, I think it's been a positive thing.
You're a bunch of survivors. Nathanael, for yourself, the pandemics look quite different, and you were able to kind of squeeze in a personal project with Matt Green, one of our project managers. Tell us about what's been happening with Elta Falls.
Yeah, so we went into the studio, I think it was February 2020, just before the pandemic started to hit, and who would have known it, like 2-3 weeks later, everything kind of got thrown in the air. Didn't know whether we could go to the studio or not. But what's surprising is kind of back to those deadline things I was talking about before, is it took me about 8 years to release an album previously. But it's only been 1 year to release 5 songs and an EP, and we've got 5 songs ready to go for the next EP for this year as well. So we're literally in the studio yesterday, got the last 3 songs kind of foundations finished. I've been prone to a bit of perfectionism, so I'm trying to work on myself, let that go, and actually finish some stuff and send it out there.
That's awesome. And managed to squeeze in a live performance in the middle of a pandemic, which actually for the arts industry is awesome as well. Yeah,
the timing was just right. I think everything kind of went downhill again a few weeks after that, so we squeezed one in.
Now, one little thing that led you to be able to do that was something that Excite Media chose the most weirdest of timings to introduce. But at the start of 2020, we said, hey, this 4-day work week thing we're hearing about has legs on it. Let's give it a trial till Easter. And then we had to be adapted through the pandemic. But how did that help with your project?
Yeah, so basically every Wednesday, the team are free to do side projects or to do what they want to do. So super helpful. It allows us to actually almost every studio session we had was on a Wednesday. But yeah, we've got people in the business who love cycling, and they do their cycling on those days. Some are starting side hustles. All the different hobbies that people have, they've actually got a chance to do so during the day and through the week. So it's been a fantastic move for everyone in the business, I think.
Chris, from your perspective, we've still got to look after the client needs. So a 4-day work week, have we been able to make it work and still be able to deliver the goods, so to speak?
Yeah, we really have. And through the pandemic, we started at the start of the pandemic, and it quickly became, touching on what Scott said, it became all-round flexibility was our focus through the really, really challenging times of the pandemic. So we didn't so much focus on the 4-day week on its own. We moved towards just do what you've got to do to look after your lives, and do what you've got to do to look after your clients at the times that suit you. And our philosophy behind it was always, don't let your family down and don't let your clients down, and we'll be there to support that. So that was during the pandemic. Following that, We are getting more back to the 4-day week, and it is a one in all in thing on a Wednesday. It's been great as a mental health reset. I know that for myself personally, I use Wednesdays as a bit of a catch-up day, but it's also good because I can just remove myself from the day-to-day fast-paced nature and just take a breath and then get back into it on a Thursday. So that's been really good for myself. In terms of clients, they're very well looked after. We have emergency support every Wednesday morning. We have a Slack channel, our communication channel, where we all let everybody know who's around to be able to answer phones and look after clients during the day. And it's really great to see everybody chipping in and making sure that's looked after. But I haven't had one complaint from a client on a Wednesday at this stage that they're not looked after. That's just part of our care, is that we care for them and care for their business.
It's been really good actually to see the attitude of our team is that they love this 4-day work week idea, that they want to do whatever they can to support it being a success. And when you look at that Slack communication channel, there'd be 6 to 10 people that put their hand up and say, I'll be here on a Wednesday, even if there's other projects happening, and it kind of comes and goes, which is fantastic. Listen, let's turn a different corner. We're in the new year, 2022. Things are obviously, hopefully, moving in the right direction. There's been a lot happening in the last 2 months. I'm going to ask you in a moment, have we turned the corner? What are our plans for the next 12 months? But let's do a quick retrospective. Can you think of one favourite project or one funny incident that happened last year that you thought was kind of unique and memorable about how we got through 2021? Anyone want to go first?
Not so much a project, but I think my fondest memory through the pandemic has been seeing our team grow and bringing new people into our close family team culture. And I think a big part of that is we've grown a whole department, which I think we'll touch on later. But seeing those new people come in and slot right into our culture, and it's still being such a close, it sounds cliche, but family unit with our team. That's been the best thing for me over the last 12, 24 months, is seeing that all still not just remain steady, but I think bring us closer together. So.
Yeah, it certainly has. Any thoughts from Nathanael and Scott?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I think with the business being around for quite a while, there's a few of us, getting a bit old and I don't want to say jaded, but that sort of thing. But it's been really good to have a lot of this youth come in and really adopt the culture and kind of lift us as well. It's quite inspiring seeing that enthusiasm, the new ideas, fresh ways of looking at things, which I think has been good. Other things I think throughout the last couple of years, the Zoom trivia nights have been good. Things like that, just little different ways that people have found to stay as a unit, even when lockdown's happening, or things like that. There's dad jokes flying around. There's all sorts of stuff like that. People are sharing parts of their life with the team. So again, just on our Slack communication channel, there's the random channel, and it's just great seeing people feel comfortable sharing parts of their life. A funny thing that's happened at home or something like that. And like even myself, I find that it is like an extended family where I can just share a funny photo that happened at home and people get involved. So I think it has brought people closer together. So that's what I've enjoyed, I think.
I think special mention in that respect is our creative director, Ben Maynard. On even the hardest days, you can rely on that man to send the funniest of the funny, either to your phone or through a phone call or on your Slack channel. But it doesn't matter how hard your day has been, that guy will always put a smile on your face. So he got me through the pandemic. Thanks, Ben.
I love it. Nathanael, any memory you want to remember?
Yeah, I think from a client perspective, just seeing the resilience of many of our clients and their businesses, and seeing the innovation that came out from the pandemic. One client that comes to mind, just been working with recently, Paul from the Open Mind Institute. Most of his work prior to the pandemic was face-to-face. And now he's pretty much taken most of his business online and is now getting clients from all around the world. So it's just wonderful to see the innovation that's come through and the resilience.
Oh, yeah. The other thing I like is now you can just, if you're on a call or whatever, your dog can be there, your kid can be there. It's just normal that stuff happens.
Yeah, you're allowed. Yeah, chaos is now allowed on video calls.
Yeah, it's good.
Well, it's certainly been an incredible year, and you've only got to go to the Excite Media team page and have a bit of a scroll through and see all the random, some of them handsome, some of them unique, all of them absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, I was going to say, let's see Lauren's rollover.
So, yeah, this is probably the gorgeous one. So if you do get a
Yep.
chance, head to excitemedia.com.au, have a look at the team, and a lot of new members. You know, got people like Cassie and Laurie in here. So we're going to be doing some introductions. We're also going to be doing a tech segment where we'll be catching up with Andy Marks and having a talk to him about what goes on in terms of the technical support of your website. So watch out for those opportunities coming on the kick. Nearly said the morning kick. All right, guys, we're going to have to start winding it up very quickly. Plans for the next 12 months, just in 1 or 2 sentences each.
I'm happy to start. For me, it's I took on this general manager role at the start of this pandemic, so it's been in no way a normal transition. For me this year, I'm going to be working hard to take more off Scott and Nathaniel's plate so that they can do what they've always intended to do, which is take a step back from the day-to-day running of the business and zoom out and focus more on the actual business itself and building that. So the intention for me is to do that with the support of Carl Paustian, who is this year stepping into an operations manager position, which is really exciting for the whole team because he is our lead firefighter. It doesn't matter what you need done, that guy will drop everything and do it. So that's exciting for me, is taking on more from the guys, handing some of the responsibilities over to Carl, and just seeing how efficiently we can get this thing ticking along.
Very quickly, just as you gather your thoughts, we had an awesome comment come in from Jane Shakespeare, who's watching us on LinkedIn, just saying how much she appreciates the support and relationship that she's had with the Excite Media team over the years, and now actually doing her own thing. So thanks very much for commenting there, Jane. Nathaniel and Scott, who would like to go next?
I can go. So, yeah, I think similar to what Chris said, I think that's exciting for us, is being able to step back a little bit from the day to day, kind of follow our noses a little bit. One of the great things about the business is that we're quite disciplined with how we run things and prioritize what we do. But I think it might be a little bit of an opportunity for us to just run wild a little bit with possibly stupid ideas, sometimes good ideas, and just kind of, as I said, follow your nose a little bit, knowing that Chris, Carl, and the whole team have got the day-to-day covered. And maybe we might accidentally stumble on the next new idea. So
it's my job to rein in the stupid.
Yeah, that's right.
It's better that we've got innovation through having the time and creative energy rather than it being through survival techniques, isn't it? Nathaniel, closing us off?
Yeah, so the things I really want to focus on this year, and it's part of zooming out a little bit and looking at the business as a whole, but I actually want to go and review every touch point, every client touch point that the business has. So right from that very first, when people jump onto the website from a referral or from an ad or something like that, through to our weekly communications with our clients. So really want to take a bit of an outsider's approach, put the customer hat on, and experience what it is like to be an Excite Media customer. And the other area I'm looking forward to focusing on is continuing to simplify the website building process. We've really changed the way we've done things, as Chris mentioned earlier, and taking much more of a content-first approach. And I think it's made our websites far, far better. So looking forward to extending that this year.
On that content-first approach, I've touched on it earlier, Andrew, but the other exciting part for me is that we now have a really great team of in-house copywriters that we've built over the last year. So we've got Ben, Laura, and Nerida all writing copy, and we're really excited to expand on that. Content's so important at the moment, not just from a website copy perspective or an SEO perspective, but just in so many different ways. Social, email marketing, nurture sequences, all that kind of stuff. And we are planning on expanding that this year, expanding that service offering. And that's going to be really exciting for both our team to deliver, but also to be able to offer it to our already great suite of clients who are going to get so much benefit from it.
Yeah, copy is such a powerful thing. It really makes a difference of success online, but also takes a headache off the shoulders of our clients when we can do it for them. So absolutely fantastic. Chris, Scott, Nathanael, thank you for being on the first episode of The Kick as we relaunch for 2022. Bound to get you back for an update a little bit later. So right now, let's have a look at what we have ahead. Really excited that we're going to be able to be bringing staff. We're going to be talking to Matt Green, to Rebecca Quick, and to Jonathan Bungie, Jono, having a chat about some of the great websites that they did in 2021. They're coming up in the next couple of Thursdays. Also, as I mentioned, Andy Marks from our support team is going to be helping us and have a look at some of the technical requirements. Don't know if you picked up in 2021, we actually picked up an award from the Australian Web Awards for SEO effectiveness. Now, they have just opened the 2022 awards, and we're quite excited. We've got another client we did a great digital marketing campaign with. They've been submitted, and also there was one of our websites that we're all very proud of as a team that's been submitted. So let's see how we go in 2022. Thanks very much for joining us. Been an absolute pleasure to be back. Looking forward to doing more, and we'll be coming back with some ideas for you next Thursday on how to grow your business.